Hello everyone, namaste, welcome back to my channel. Hi, if you're new here, this is Amisha Singh Chauhan. A very happy new year to each and every one of you. I hope this new year brings a lot of color, joy and happiness in your life. So anyways, if you're looking for something fun, dark and mysterious, then you're the right place. So do not forget to subscribe to my channel and also hit that bell icon so that every time I'm here with a new case to talk about, you'll get to know about it. So before we begin with today's case, I would like to give out a small trigger warning. Today we will be talking about a case of a 13-month-old baby girl who gets murdered, killed. I'll leave it up to you guys to choose the word for here. So anyways, we will be also covering about the various gruesome details of what she had to suffer. So if you're someone who cannot take all of these things, it is absolutely fine. You can skip this video, or else if you want to know about what happened with Amora Bain Carson, then you can watch the video and skip the parts where we are going into those details. So let's start with the case. On 2nd of December 2008 in Texas, America, Jessica Carson and her fiancé Blaine Mylan dialed 911 around 10:37 a.m. and told the operator that their 13-month-old daughter, Amora Bain Carson, was dead. They actually informed that they had left Amora in their trailer while she was sleeping, and then when they returned an hour later, they found her dead. Now, immediately, the first responders arrived at their place and they found all of them in the master bedroom. The moment they saw Amora, they knew that she was dead. She was not breathing and her entire body was rigid. That kind of suggests that she had been dead for quite a long time. Apart from this, her entire body was covered with bite marks, abrasion and scrapes. And in all together, it looked like one large injury. Like there was barely any part of her body which was not covered with any sort of injury. So anyways, with all of this being seen, the investigators immediately took the couple for questioning separately. Now, both of them gave two different versions, but basically they had the same story. That was Amora was sleeping in the trailer. She was absolutely fine. They went out for some job, and then when they returned back, they found her in that condition. Now, according to Blaine Mylan, what happened was that he and Jessica, they went outside so that they could speak with this man about some odd job. Whereas Jessica said that they had gone to inspect this new property where they were going to move their trailer. So, they were marking and doing various other stuffs. And Blaine added that when he returned back, he found Amora's body in a hole in the bathroom floor. So they were kind of remodeling. Also, a side note over here, the investigators noticed that the entire place was definitely not hygienic, nor was it healthy for any human being added a small baby. They would also go on giving various different statements and testimonies regarding how it could have happened to Amora. Like they would say that their family dog bit her, or that there was an intruder, or that they had an accident, or she might have had an accident, or that she took the hammer and did it to herself. So we are talking about a 13-month-old. And imagine that a 13-month-old takes hold of a hammer. I mean, is it even possible for them to pick it up? It's quite heavy, right? But anyways, according to them, she did it to herself. Now, only after when a Texas ranger spoke and directly questioned Jessica did she tell them what exactly had happened that day or the previous night. Even with that, she was not really comfortable. She kept on repeating that even if they would tell the truth, nobody's gonna believe them. But the Texas ranger did an amazing job. He made her feel comfortable and she told him what happened. Let's get to that. Now, all of this is according to Jessica, by the way. There's a long audio clip. The quality is not really good, so I'm going to just sum it all up. Now, in September of 2008, Blaine Mylan's father died, and Blaine was very attached to his father. Now, after his father's death, they decided to get a Ouija board. The reason behind it was because they believed that it was telephone to the heaven. Jessica added that they are very religious and they had heard from people that Ouija board actually worked. Now, on this particular night, what they did was they took this Ouija board and started playing with it. Now, according to Jessica, she actually spoke with her father. So when this thing, this energy, this spirit came in, Jessica asked that thing a question. Now, this question could only be answered by her father. Nobody else knew the answer. And apparently, this thing replied the correct answer. And Jessica was convinced, she believed that this thing was, in fact, her father's soul. By the way, Jessica lost her father when she was only 10 years old. Now, they did the same thing with Blaine's father, and they spoke with their respective fathers for 8 hours straight that night. Now, after this entire session got ended, they got freaked out. So they went to their friend's house and they got this music box where a group of Chinese people were singing, "God will protect us, demons leave the house." This was in repeat. Now, after some time, they cleansed the house, they cleansed the music box and also the Ouija board, and then later on threw it away. Now, after this, Jessica believed that the entire house was possessed by a demon or by the devil or the Satan. And then from the house, the possession went to Blaine, and then from Blaine to Jessica, and then from Jessica, it went to the little baby Amora. Now, Jessica added that when Amora got possessed, things got really ugly. So they decided to hire someone to do an exorcism so that they could rid Amora of all the demons or whatever it was that was possessing her. For that, they even went to a pawn store. Now, the investigators were able to retrieve surveillance footage from this pawn store. And according to these footages, around 9:05 a.m., both Jessica and Blaine were seen inside the pawn store. They were actually pawning off one of their old chainsaws. And after that, we can see them that they were going around the store leisurely. And all this time, Amora was not with them. She was back in the trailer and probably dead. Now, after this, they went to a gas station. Again, there was no Amora with them. And it just did not look like, that they were worried about something or not. By the way, a side note over here, Blaine in his testimony said that when he dialed 911, he had no idea that Amora was dead. This is a very important point over here. Remember that he made the 911 call around 10:37 a.m. We'll get to this point later in the video. So anyways, what happens next is that Jessica, she heard Blaine screaming Amora and getting inside the trailer. She asks him what is wrong, and then Blaine comes out and tells her that he actually heard the God. So basically, God had spoken to Blaine. Now, this is what Jessica said, okay? We don't know how much of it is true. But anyways, she said that Blaine had a conversation with the God, and the God said that it was too late because the Satan, the devil, had a complete control over Amora's body and soul. Blaine also added that Amora had a hammer in her hand and she was hitting herself profusely, repetitively. Now, he told Jessica that God told him that it was too late to do an exorcism, and if Amora wouldn't go to the heaven right at this moment, then they would lose her. Then Amora would lose her soul to the Satan forever, for eternity. So, yes, you can guess what happened next over here. They did what they did. Now, according to the autopsy report, by the way, this is the part where you would skip if you are someone who cannot, handle all of this. So, according to the autopsy reports, she had more than 20 to 24 bite marks on her body, which were on her face, around her mouth, around her nose. It looked like they were trying to get something out of her mouth. I don't know, it's just something that people say. So anyways, apart from these bite marks, 18 of her ribs were fractured. There were multiple fractures on the back of her head. There was extensive bleeding under her scalp. Her liver was lacerated. There was a broken arm and leg. Also, one of her blood vessels in her neck were bleeding, which suggested that there was possible strangulation. Apart from all of this, she was also sexually assaulted. Her genitalia and her rectum were injured, not by male penetration, but by insertion of foreign object. Now, I would like over here something that the forensic expert of this case pointed out, that most of her injuries in her private parts started healing, like the tissues were in the process of healing, which suggests that she had been sexually assaulted, that she had been injured in her private areas way before she died. So, yes. Now, the saddest and the most unfortunate thing over here is that all of this could have not happened if Blaine Marlem would have served his entire sentence. Amora still would have been alive if he would have completed his 180 days in jail. You heard me right. Let's do a little flashback and let me tell you what exactly am I talking about. So in 2007, Blaine Milam was actually arrested and sentenced 180 days in jail for breaking in a house of a 13-year-old girl. So what exactly happened was that he entered a house of a 13-year-old from his neighborhood. He went through her stuffs. In specific, he went through her underwear drawer, and over there he left out some cutouts from adult magazine. Now behind these cutouts, he had described in very details of what he was planning or what he was thinking of doing with her. Now, after this, he was caught and he was arrested, and since he never had any physical contact with this minor, he was only sentenced to 180 days in jail. Now, while he was serving his time over there, he was allowed to get out of the jail on a work release program. And what happened was that one fine day, he went out for work, he never returned back, like he never registered back in the jail. Now, he only served 48 days out of 180 days. After which he ran away from the county and moved to another county, which was in East Texas, Rusk County. Now over there, nobody had any idea of this, and in January of 2008, he met Jessica Carson, who was a high school student at the time and also a single mother to 2-month-old Amora Bain Carson. Now they hooked up and they immediately hit it off. In fact, he even proposed her for marriage on her prom night. Very romantic. After this, they moved in to a small trailer and they started living as a happy family. Blaine would also go on stating very proudly that Amora's first word was daddy, and that he was very proud of her and that he loved her like his own daughter. Another thing that I would like to tell you guys about Blaine Milam is that according to his defense attorney and his mother and few relatives, he has the mental age of a 12-year-old. He stopped developing after that time intellectually, and his defense attorney also used the word intellectual disability for him. I'm so sorry for the dogs. I don't know why are they going little cuckoo over here. So anyways, back to the case. He was also doing drugs on and off, and so were his other family members. He was also removed from his school after 4th grade to proceed homeschooling, though there is no further data about his any further education. Now they were taken to the court. Now the trial was moved from Rusk County to Montgomery County because of the obvious reason that was the intensity of the crime. Now, the moment the trial began, he apologized to the jury and also to anyone who was present in the court, because they were going to face some really graphical pictures and videos of Amora, of what she had gone through. It is also said that the various investigators who saw Amora in that condition, they still do have nightmares. In fact, they had nightmares for quite a very long time. He also added, "Justice for Amora Bain Carson is worth facing what you're going to have to face," end quote. The district attorney informed the jury that due to the extent of the injuries, it was very difficult and they were not able to determine which one of them was actually the one that killed Amora. Now, with Jessica and Blaine, the moment they were arrested and they were charged with Amora's death, they just went against each other. I mean, Jessica was blaming Blaine and Blaine was blaming Jessica. It was the obvious blame game happening over here. With Blaine's defense attorney, they came up and said that Blaine is intellectually disabled. Also, that Jessica was depressed and also psychotic, which probably came from postpartum psychosis. He added that she acted on her delusional thoughts and murdered her own daughter. So basically he was saying that Blaine had no hand in all of this, that he was just, I don't know, someone who was just standing there and letting his fiancée murder her daughter. So anyways, with Jessica's defense, the defense attorney quite shocked the entire court by informing them that she was going to use her Fifth Amendment right to not incriminate herself, which basically means that she was using her right to refuse to answer any question or give any testimonies in the court, which could be used in a criminal proceeding. When the judge asked her about this, that if she would answer any questions, she just shook her head. And then he asked if she would change this in future, if she would amend it. She was like, nope, I'm not going to give any testimony in the court. So, anyways, the jury were presented with the evidences. Now, there were a lot of evidences in this case. In fact, one of the weirdest thing that I found over here was that during the initial investigation, the investigators found out some blood samples from their master bedroom. Now, when this was investigated, they came out to a conclusion that it was fake blood, that it was Halloween blood. Now, the thing that I don't understand over here is, and I think that nobody actually gets it, what exactly was happening with the fake blood. Why were they trying to create a fake scene, like a fake crime scene, basically? What were they getting out of this? Like, why would they even think of doing this? It just doesn't make sense to me, and I guess a lot of things doesn't make sense to anybody over here. Apart from this, Blaine's sister told the investigators that Blaine had called them at 9:30 a.m. that day, that is on 2nd December 2008, and informed her that Amora was dead. Now, this contradicts Blaine's testimony. He had no idea that Amora was dead when he did the 911 call. Apart from this, she also told the investigators about this hidden pipe wrench, which probably was the blunt object that was used to hit her. Now, the investigators also had more evidence against the couple. They had actually received a tip from an anonymous family member from Blaine's side, and when they looked into it, it definitely matched up with the entire thing that was happening. Apart from this, the bite marks. Now, one of the forensic experts described these bite marks as amazingly clear and very detailed. There was this rare pattern in M shape, and this matched with Blaine's. Now, all of the bite marks were confirmed to be of Blaine's except one, which was of Jessica's. Now, the investigators, for safe side, they also tested Blaine's brother for these bite marks, but it did not match with him. Apart from this, they also extracted a DNA from a bite mark which was on her elbow, and this DNA matched with Blaine's. Now, the investigators also spoke with this person that Blaine had said that he and his fiancée Jessica had spoken that day regarding some odd job, and this person told the investigators that he never really met any of these two people on 2nd of December 2008. So yes, they were lying about this the entire time. They also knew that Amora was dead when they were going to the pawn shop and when they were at the gas station, because the forensic team, they had this idea that she had died hours ago before the investigators came to the crime scene. So yes, all of this given to the jury found them guilty. Blaine Milam was found guilty in May of 2010, and he was sentenced to death with lethal injection. Whereas Jessica Carson, she was found guilty in April of 2011, and she was sentenced to life imprisonment without any possibility of parole. Now, what happened was that in 2012, Blaine's defense attorney, he went to the courts and claimed and appealed that there were 20 errors that were made during the conviction trial, in specific with bite marks, and bite mark signs had largely been discredited. He also added that his client, that Blaine Milam, was childlike and he cannot face an execution. He also supported all of this by telling the court that while his sentence was being given out, he was in a room watching Scooby-Doo cartoon and he had no intention to go in and check out what exact sentence was he getting. But anyways, the Court of Appeal rejected all of this, added that there were far more evidences that it wouldn't have affected the jury's decision. Now, eventually, Blaine Milam exhausted all of his appeals. And then on January 14, 2019, a Texas judge issued a stay on his execution. The reason? It was the changes in the intellectual disability law and bite mark signs, after which his execution was scheduled for 21st January 2021, that was last year, but then again his execution was put on stay and it was delayed. As of now, we have no further updates regarding his execution. He's still behind the bars. He's waiting for the execution date, or probably hoping that it gets cancelled because he is intellectually disabled. Also, Jessica is serving her life imprisonment behind the bars as well. Now, here we come to the end of this video. There's a small clip that I would like to show you from the documentary. It's quite funny for some reason. So yeah, basically the cousin believes that the Exorcist movie was a real life documentary, that all of the actors were not really actors but real people. Obviously they are people, but people. And while all of this thing was happening, there was a documentary crew who was shooting all of this. I don't know, I just thought that I should share this with you all. So anyways, with this case, the biggest question that a lot of people have is, was it a murder or was it an exorcism that went wrong? You know, if you ask my opinion, I don't even ask myself this question. The reason is because all I see is Amora's face. I'm just too emotionally mixed up in all of this that I cannot think if it was a murder or not. You know, all I see is this little girl. When I was reading the list of the things that she had to go through in her last moments, it just sent a shiver inside my body. It just breaks my heart. It scares me to think that a little baby, that any human in fact, had to go through something like this. And to imagine that these two people are capable of doing it. I don't really think if they were, you know, intellectually disabled or if they were under any influence of drugs, which they were not because the police were not able to find any drugs in them or in the house. So yeah, it does not really make any sense for me. I know this is not how the legal system works. It does not how court works. But then again, I'm not a lawyer. I'm just telling you that in the end of the day, Amora died, and this all could have not had happened if he would have served his sentence, if the system would have been a little bit more careful. I mean, he was not allowed to be around any child or any minor girl except of his kids or his siblings, and yet here he was with little Amora. So yes, the system is definitely to be blamed. I mean, if he did not register back, they should definitely have tried to look for him. Maybe they were, I don't know. But yes, he was walking like a free man. It also kind of scares me thinking that how many people around us are actually criminals who are supposed to be behind bars, but they are not for some reason, and we have no idea about this. Anything can happen. Also, I feel like if there would have been some sort of guardian, like someone who would have said like, no, this is wrong, there is no exorcism, she is not possessed, or something like this, then probably this could have not had happened. I mean, I'm just thinking, I'm just making assumptions. But yeah, this is all that I have to talk about this video. Kind of bothers me a lot on various levels. But anyways, I would love to know your opinions on this case. I hope that you found this video informative. If you have any suggestions, anything that you'd like to add to this case or anything, put them in the comment section, or you could directly message me on my Instagram. And most importantly, take care of yourself. Bye bye. Be positive. Be happy.